everyone, and welcome back to this episode of Align Your Mind with Jonathan.
And Alexa.
We're excited to be back on this new episode where we're going to kind of talk about how everything's starting to reopen and just a little recap on this last year. We know Fernando and Bianca touched upon it last week, but Alexa, why don't you get us started?
So, as Bianca and Fernando talked about, everything being closed and being in quarantine for over a year at this point really took a toll on our mental health and was really something that we had to learn to deal with. And now, personally, for me, I'm up at school and masks are still being worn, but here in Florida, I know it's not in every state, but at least in Florida, everything is starting to reopen again and restaurants are open normal hours and you can dine in and it's really actually getting back to normal, except now it's not known as our normal. I know for me, like if I see someone walking around without a mask, I kind of get like whoa, like it's kind of weird to like see a whole person's face. So I will say that in some ways it's helping to see everything reopen again, but in some ways it's also kind of scary because we did see a spike last time and it's always going to be a constant worry now, but I think that getting back to normal is really going to help our mental health. John, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, I think you hit it really well, Alexa. I think as we move on throughout this year, it's a lot of transitioning, and that transitioning has led to a lot of uncertainty. And the most important thing about uncertainty is not everyone knows how to kind of counteract it. So what we've been doing on mindFULLme's website is just uploading a bunch of resources and tools. Alexa and I are going to talk a little bit more about them now in the beginning of this episode. We recently launched Elder Tools, and that is essentially for our citizens who are 65 and older, and we're partnering with the Department of Elder Affairs to kind of push some of these resources out because change is most effective to them. I mean, I know that some nursing homes and things of that nature weren't allowing visitors and still aren't allowing visitors over a year, and there's nothing that can be more difficult than that in itself. We also launched School Tools, which is essentially something that's being used, especially down here in Broward County Public Schools. And that's something, just to kind of start these virtual classes and things like that. But as Alexa was just saying, everything's kind of changing. And yesterday, our superintendent actually voted that all students will be back in person tomorrow. I'll be going up to UCF kind of with Alexa next year. And I know they decided that all classes are going to be in person too. So it's a lot of change that's going to come really fast. And then we kind of have to start adjusting again. So Alexa and I are going to kind of refocus some of the tips that we said in some of our very first podcasts, which we know kind of lost its translation throughout this time. So Alexa, why don't you go ahead and say some of your tips that we kind of do whenever things start to get really busy?
So this is something I kept doing in quarantine, and I realized that when I'm home right now for spring break, and obviously I don't have classes right now, but whenever I come home while I do have classes, I realize that I'm a lot less productive than when I'm up at school. And I honestly think that's because while I'm at school, I have like a big whiteboard above my desk where I have a calendar and then I have my own agenda. And every single week, like on Sunday night, I always write down my assignments I have to do for the week and what days I want to do it on. College, at least for my classes, almost everything is due on Sunday. So I tend to like space everything out from like Monday to like Thursday. That way I have a long weekend and I don't have to do anything over that weekend. But giving yourself time and spacing things out and planning ahead is always something that I found to be really effective in kind of de-stressing, just because I know what I have to do and I'm not worried about when I'm going to do it. So I highly, highly, highly recommend planning out your week and just focusing on what needs to be done. That way, if you get it done early, you have more days to rest until you have to plan your whole new week.
Yeah, and something really nice about that, I remember we were saying last time, is there something really nice about whenever you have everything listed out, what you need to do for the week, what you need to do for the day, and then just crossing it out. Sometimes if you can't cross it out, you always think that you need to do something else for the day, and then you can't take that time that you need for yourself to kind of de-stress and, make sure that you have time for yourself put aside, whatever that is. I remember Alexa and I do a lot of unconventional ways of de-stressing. That's either through watching and probably binging a show on Netflix to just listening to music and going for a drive. But I think that's really important to focus on as we kind of go forward with a lot of things. And then if you're at school or in work, kind of going back into your work environment, it's going to feel normal, yet not normal because you've been home all this time. And I think a lot of social anxiety is going to come with that. So whenever, you're kind of out and around and people are going to start to wear less masks and, everyone's going to be vaccinated and things of that nature, whether the distant future or near future has to hold, I think it's just, make sure you go into everything with a very open mind, and that, everyone's still kind of, they said quarantine brought out the best in people and also the worst in people, but kind of go in with thinking everyone has good intentions and decipher it that way. Because if we do the opposite, we'll never be able to get through this. Alexa?
Yeah, I think something really important about that is keeping an open mind and just acknowledging the fact that even if things are different, sometimes change is good. And, when you're adapting to new situations, like just like how we had to adapt to quarantine, we found ways to cope with being stuck inside a house all day and finding new hobbies and working on your mental health or just focusing on yourself, really. Because when you're in a room or in a house for over a year, what else do you really have to do? So now that we're breaking out of that shell, like John said, social anxiety is definitely going to skyrocket, and getting used to things is going to take some getting used to. But I know for me, I started working again while I was home, and working at a restaurant, you start conversations with a lot of different people. And I had a conversation with someone who was down from up north. I think it was Michigan. And they were saying how, everything is so closed up there and we're so lucky to have things be open down here. And that goes into something else, that we have to be grateful that we're starting to reopen. And as long as we do it safely, we should be grateful for that, because there's people who have not left their house in over a year, and who knows when they'll be able to. So, don't take things for granted, and appreciate the fact that we can do things safely and play your part. Make sure you do what you need to do to make sure that we can continue to live our lives outside of our houses. So just continue practicing gratitude. I know Jonathan and I talked about it in one of our earlier podcasts, the 30 days of gratitude, just writing something down each day that you're grateful for. And I think that now would be a really good time to do that, because with anxiety and with stress and, going back to work in person and going back to school in person, you're going to get lost in your own thoughts. And it's always important to keep in mind that you have so much to be grateful for. So I want to ask you guys to, or encourage you to, do the 30 days of gratitude as we come out of quarantine and as we go back to normal. So keep that in mind. Also, you can always tag us in your Instagrams or your Twitter posts about your 30 days of gratitude, like we said last time. So we're at mindFULLme Inc. On Twitter and Instagram. So if you ever feel like you want to share, we're always open to hearing and watching your videos or whatever it is.
Yeah, I think you hit a lot of important points. And I know something that, I guess, in the point of while we're reflecting, we can kind of look towards some of the past events that we've been able to kind of launch and start over this past year. And that's something that I know we're definitely both grateful for. We're able to do that virtual summit back in August where we had a bunch of sessions and stuff like that. If you guys weren't able to check it out, it's on our website, mindfulme.org. That's mindful with two L's, me.org. So be sure to check it out and let us know what you think. And Alexa, we've done this 30-day challenge once and it was really successful for both Alexa and I and all of our board members, and we encourage everyone. So if you haven't done that yet, be sure to participate on our social media at mindFULLme Inc. And yeah, we have a lot of exciting things coming up in these next few weeks and months even. I know in May, we are partnering with the Make a Friend, Be a Friend Foundation at their Inclusion Empowerment Fair. And essentially, we're going to have a bunch of booths set up and we're co sponsoring the event. We're going to have yoga stations, connectivity stations, listening circles, and a bunch of cool interactive things that you guys should come out and see at Riverwalk in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. So visit our social media to check out some information on that. We're planning a summiter within the next year, and this year we're working out some details with that, seeing if we could do it in person. Fingers crossed we can. And we have a lot of more resources coming out. As you guys know, you guys heard Bianca and Fernando last week. They're working throughout these next few weeks to upload in a completely different Spanish site for all of our resources. So we're going to be available in 2 different languages. And as we continue to expand, we want to thank you guys for, kind of being here with us and getting us through, really the creation of mindFULLme throughout this last year. And as we look forward to the next years, we know there's going to be a lot of good resources and things to come out. And, be sure to remember you could visit all of our resources and everything that we ever make, our meditations, our podcasts, our school tools and elder tools, all on our website, mindfulme.org. That's mindful with two L's, me.org. And you could also watch them on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify Music, as well as radio.com and Zencast. Thank you guys for listening to this episode of Align Your Mind with Jonathan and Alexa. Remember, whatever the mind can believe and conceive, it can achieve. Bye, guys, and see you next month. Thanks for watching. We hope you enjoyed. Be sure to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and TikTok at mindfulme Inc. That's mindful with two L's, M-E, Inc. And also visit our website for resources just like this, mindfulme.org. That's mindful with two L's, M-E.org. We can't wait to see you soon. Bye.